Hello everyone, how are we tonight? Well, I am gonna invite Terry. Let me see. Terry. Okay, cool. Terry, and then we are gonna invite Nancy from Mama of Reinvention. So let's see. Okay, Terry is here. Fabulous. Thank
Good
you. Hello,
evening.
Terry. How are you?
Hello. I'm well, hon. I'm well. How are you?
Very good, very good. I just kind of remembering to put everything together. Okay, I can see Mama of Reinvention. I can see Nancy, so I'm going to invite her.
Oh, super.
And then I keep pressing the wrong button. Here we go.
We did want to
Fabulous.
mention to everybody that this is, our usual Tuesday night unpolished podcast. So this is the unpolished part where we take 2 minutes to connect. Hi, Nancy.
Hello, Nancy.
Hello.
Oh, lovely to see you. Yes, it's totally unpolished and kind of, come as you are, and we see what happens. So yeah, permission granted.
Yeah. So Nancy, we were just saying, we call these our unpolished podcasts. We should call them unpolished unpodcasts because they're not podcasts. But they're our way of letting people into our conversations on Tuesday evenings, and we like them unpolished because we found the more we try to polish things, the less us shows up there. So we're really enjoying these unpolished podcasts. So we're happy to have you with us tonight to be part of our conversations. And Nancy, do you mind if I introduce you a little bit to our audience and to the people who are listening?
Not at all. And I just want to say, I'm glad this is unpolished because I am very unpolished. So,
Excellent.
Authenticity over perfection all day long.
Yes, babe. You're in the right place. Yeah, you're in the right place. Okay, let me say first that it's February 1st, which freaking me out a little bit, I have to say. I'm not sure how this happened. I feel like we just started the new year. But this is our month where our focus is going to be around resilience, which is exactly why we reached out to you, Nancy, because you have a world of knowledge around resilience. You have your personal experiences around resilience, and it's integrated into so much of the work you do. So let me tell everybody about you. Nancy is the founder of the Compass Club, which is an online space where women support each other in personal growth, which we love because it sounds a lot like our connection sessions. So we're glad that these little pods of support are showing up all over the world. Through her own personal coaching, she works with women who want to live intentionally and rediscover their authentic self. And in addition to being a Jay Shetty certified coach, Nancy's a mom of 2 teens, which we also love because we are too. So welcome, Nancy.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's great to be here. It's great to be here. It's been fun following you guys and your content on Instagram. I love what you're doing. I love what you're putting out. And I fully agree. We all need groups of women to support each other and to lift each other up because we can't do it alone, right? I mean, I guess we could maybe, but it's not going to be nearly as fun, and it's not going to be, it's not the right energy. So supporting each other is the way to do it. It's the way to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of in my 20s, I probably believe that I can do it by myself, but I've given up on that.
Yeah. I think you go a lot, you can go much farther when you have supporters and encouraging people around you.
Absolutely.
You can get to a certain point alone, but you get much farther with others around you.
100%. And I think that is that immediately touches, doesn't it, on resilience? Because when we talk about resilience, which is why we wanted you to come here, because as Terry said, your work has been born out of your own journey, and there's something really, really powerful about that. And I think the resilience is one of those things that we tend to want to do alone. maybe. But it is something that I want to say quite strongly, you have to have people around you. So I would love to kind of start to offer you opportunity to talk about what does resilience mean for you personally.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think resilience means the ability to recognize that an old chapter is closing and there's a new chapter opening in front of you. So when we are going through difficult things, and the past 10 years of my life has been a lot of difficult things, and not that mine is any more special than anyone else's. Life is challenging. It's difficult. It throws stuff at us all the time.
Yeah.
And we have to learn how to acknowledge that and be present with that and lift ourselves up through it. And with everything that ends, every door that closes, there's a new one that opens, right? So the resiliency is allowing yourself to let go of what you need to let go of so that you can step into what is waiting for you. And I've learned that lesson over the past 10 years a lot, because I found myself stuck in spaces of negativity and woe is me, and just being very sad and depressed and saying, why is life so hard? And this is, again, why we need to reach out to others, right? We need to expand our awareness. So resilience is becoming aware of where you're at and allowing yourself to step in and doing what you need for yourself so that you can step into the new. It's a long answer.
No, it's it's such a beautiful answer. And what is beautiful about it is it does paint that picture of the stuckness. I think the stuckness is real, and what I hear you repeating is this invitation to see even the possibility that door can open, that there is a door. Sometimes I believe that when life is hard and things are tough, it's even hard to imagine that there is a door. So that stuckness, that surviving and finding a way to find a way through that mud, that kind of, I don't know, I see it as a dark room. That I think it's really important that we acknowledge that is not. It's not like, oh, I recognize, and it's like, oh, let me just walk. There is a door. Let me walk through that, and off I go, and I'm transformed. It is from what I'm hearing from you, it's a lesson that you were invited to learn more than once, and that is, yeah, that is real.
And they say that, don't they? Right? You keep getting the same lesson until you learn it, right? Right? So
this is life's way of bringing us those recurring messages. You know what I think is great about the way you defined resilience, or your meaning of resilience, is that you really include both sides of it. I think most of us, when we hear the word resilience, we think about, getting back up and going forward, only that forward motion part, that you're resilient if you don't stay down or stuck. So people only, when they talk about resilience, kind of only focus on the doors you were talking about, the forward motion part. But you, and the way Sanella added to it, was this focus and acknowledgement that there's a stuck part first that you are trying to move on from, and it's part of the resilience process.
Yeah, if with everything that we go through in life, whether it's for me it was the death of my mom, and then going through separation and divorce, and then I had a friend that was killed, and all these things, there's grieving that comes along with many things, many transitions in life. And it's not just when we lose a loved one. You know, when you go through divorce, you're grieving. There's a grieving process that has to happen. Even if you're transitioning out of a job into a new career, you know, there can be grieving that happens, and we have to allow that and take with us the lessons we've learned and the good memories and leave the rest of it kind of behind, right? And that's how we allow ourselves to move forward. And we carry that with us. It will always be a part of you. But the resilience comes when you can allow yourself to do the grieving and not just say, oh, that never happened. I'm just going to ignore that. And let's just move forward and be positive. And
it's a huge step.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of it. I'm glad you brought up the grief topic, because, you know, there's, of course, in some of the things you mentioned, you know, there was actual grief, loss of life, but there's also, you know, in a separation, in a divorce, there's this ambiguous grief of, you know, having lost, you know, a relationship that was there before, or your belief or hope for what that relationship was going to be, or way that partnership was going to work out, or way the parenting was going to go forward. All of that is part of it. And there actually isn't a possibility to walk through the door without getting pulled back through it if you haven't kind of done some work on that grief. And so I wanna touch on that a little bit more, because you use this phrase reinvention a lot, right? And I can imagine that most of us, when we're in this stuck place, are that word reinvent, like it's opportunity to reinvent yourself, to walk through another door, to open another chapter. And we may be very eager to do that. So can you talk a little bit about how you work with the women you work with in terms of timing and patience that comes with this resilience process? It's not just the, you know, get back up, but, you know, how do we manage that eagerness with the timing it takes to do the work?
Sure. Yeah. It does take time. Change takes time. And unfortunately, we live in a world today where we have immediate gratification for everything. And we expect, you know, ourselves to be fixed. I want to be fixed and fix it. And I would like to say, no one is broken. You are not broken. You don't need fixing. What happens, and this speaks to the reinvention part, it's not about completely changing who you are and becoming a different person. Actually, it's more about chipping away the layers and expectations of society and your parents and schooling and all this stuff that has been loaded on top of you.
Yeah.
And chipping that away so you can rediscover you and your authenticity and who am I and what do I value and what do I want. And it does take time. And that's part of the resilience, because the more time you spend with yourself, discovering that, caring for yourself, the better off it's going to be. It does take time, though. I seem to have frozen up. I don't know if it's me or if it's you. Can you?
We had a little bit of a bump there, but it looks like you're back. Oh, maybe.
Uh-oh. Do we have a technology?
We'll be patient. We'll take time.
Okay. Yeah, we see you. Okay. Ooh, I love this little circle that goes, telling us she's still there. She's still there. But I love that point of about patience, and I'm curious when Nancy comes back. I'm curious about when it's uncomfortable. Oh, we lost her.
Yeah, maybe
when it's uncomfortable, that it's how hard is to find that patience. You know, sometimes you just want to be out of there, you know,
that's what I was thinking when she was commenting, right? Like it is to the reason we have an eagerness. We were just commenting on your last comment, so no worries.
I'm very sorry. We just had a major snowstorm here, so there's a little bit Wi-Fi internet connection issues going on, but I think I resolved it.
Fabulous.
Great.
Don't worry. So we've heard your description about how it takes patience, and it is not a quick fix, and it's hard to marry that expectation of the society to that we move on quickly and we show this resilience. And I really understand that. I see that with my clients. I see it with myself. And what we were both curious about is that when it's hard, you're talking about being stuck. Stuck is not nice. Stuck is, it's not a place where you want to dwell too long. But a reinvention requires letting go of things, and letting go of things can take time. So how was that for you? Navigating that desire to just get out and be different and do different and leave everything behind. And I'm talking about your divorce more than other difficulties you were going through. But and then what you as you put it, what awaits you, the one that awaits you on the other side. How can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting time when you're going through a divorce or having just been through one. I have to say I was given a lovely gift because my ex-husband's parents were divorced at a young age for him, and they both remarried. And so during the whole time we were married, I had two sets of in-laws who were lovely and gave me a wonderful example of how people could coexist, be friendly, and not have it be mean and nasty. So that was a wonderful gift for me. And I would encourage anybody who might be going through something like that, look for the models of the good, because it doesn't have to be the way that we read the messaging says a lot of times. Okay.
Yeah.
It can be nice. And, at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing. We want the kids to be okay and to be healthy. We want everybody to be happy and healthy, right? That's what's best for everybody. So, of course, there's anger that comes with it, especially at the beginning, and those things are tough, but that's why we have our very close circle of girlfriends that we can call and vent to and say the things that we want to say to that person, but we don't say them to the person, we say them to our friend. So get yourself some of those if you don't have any, because that's very important. But yeah, I mean, you want it to be over quickly, but the only way out of the tunnel is through it. And you have to go through the pain and there's so many emotions that come up. There's disappointment and there's grief and there's, your sadness, and it's okay because you're human and you're allowed to feel that, and you have to allow it to get out the other side. And, but you don't want to rush it either, because you want to take the time to really sit and reflect on what you learned and reflect on the lessons and understand what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
So for personal growth, right, you have to understand what you bring to the table. And if you think that you're right, I thought I was right for a long time. And then I realized, wow, I really was not right. The more I reflected on that. And it's important to take the time to do that so that you don't continue to have to repeat the same mistakes or, step into something else without having done the work, right? So it just takes time. It takes time. And, if you're impatient, that's, I think, for me, the number one thing was making sure their kids are okay, of course, and being a good mom. And so you have to remember, sometimes you have to recenter yourself and remind yourself, what's the most important thing here? What's the most important thing today, this week? It's to make sure everyone's okay and not get caught up in the nitty-gritty minutia that annoys you or and stuff like that.
Wow. Yes, yes, that's and you mentioned kids there. It's an interesting. It's hard to navigate and go through something, a hardship of any kind by ourselves. It's hard enough. But now you have, as a mum, you had two teenagers with you, or two kids with you. So how was that, or what do you have? What would you like to tell us about that? That position of being a guide and being sort of guiding yourself through this time.
Yeah, there's so much I've learned, so much I've learned, and as we've already said, you can't do it alone. So when people offer help, or can I pick up the kids after school, or can I watch the kids so you can get out for a little bit? Say yes to every opportunity. It does take a village, and I say that all the time. It takes a village, and I'm so glad to have a huge village. And when people offer, I say yes. I'm because my feeling is that kids, life is hard, and kids growing up today, there's even so much more to deal with than what we had growing up. And they need as many positive influences in their life as they can have. So to me, when I have a good friend who says, let me take the kids out to dinner and give you a night off, I say yes, because I know that's them also getting around someone else who's positive, but away from their mom for a little while, because they don't want to listen to me all day long every day. So I seek out opportunities to put them in spaces around other happy, healthy, influential in a good way adults. And I always say there can never be too many good people in your life. So yes. The other thing is that when you have a shift, as in a divorce or a separation, it's an opportunity to shift the relationship with your children, because a lot of times we get into patterns, right? We get into family patterns, and the relationship, they might be unhealthy patterns. And so it's an opportunity, for me, I said, what is the kind of mom I want to be? Now is my chance to be that mom, because I didn't also have a relationship to deal with, with my husband that wasn't working, right? So I had decided I will be a better mom if I don't also have to navigate through a relationship that is not working. So
that's true.
I looked at it as I'll be a better mom, and that, to me was the most important thing. And so it was an opportunity. I started as an opportunity to now step in and be the mom that I want to be and teach them what I want to teach them. So my relationship with my kids is really, really, really good right now. And it is 100% because I have changed. Because I have changed.
It's always the case, right? Even
Always.
on Super Nanny. That Super Nanny came in and she barely touched those kids. She had to work with the parents, right? But, I've heard so many people say this, Nancy, that when they got divorced, they had an opportunity to parent differently, parent the way they really want, because it's really hard to parent with another person who grew up in another home, who brings to mind their own ways of parenting, who brings to the relationship all their own. We've got our issues and we can only sort those out, but other people have theirs, and it all shows up in that system gets very, very cluttered, right? So I know that this is one of the outcomes, or could be one of the outcomes, of parents who are not getting along well together, could start to have a better relationship as individuals, or at least, if not together in all cases, at least with the kids, right? They can find their own relationship on their own terms with parenting. So it's beautiful to hear, and we're really glad that not that you had to go through that, but that you came through it, having rediscovered yourself, and that that you're taking the time to pass it on to other people. And I
Yeah.
know that you talk about this. I'm curious about this chipping away process, this, rediscovering. One of your resilience um, tips that you had talked about was take time to rediscover yourself. So I assume that's this chipping away process. What
Yes.
does that look
Yep.
like? And
That's
I
also the
know
chip.
I know from being a coach that it's a long answer and there's a lot of work to do there. But can you describe some of what that process might look like for the people who are listening?
Sure. So it's been interesting. I was married for 16 years and I don't consider it a failure at all. I consider it 16 years of a lot of great memories. We have two beautiful kids. And I think I look at it as a courageous decision to just take the step and say, this isn't working anymore. And
Absolutely.
let's honor each other and let each other go and blossom rather than holding yourself to a commitment you made when you were a different person
Yeah.
many years ago. So that's kind of my feeling on it. I know that's not always the most popular feeling, but that's okay. Um, so um, in after that, it's about rediscovering who you were. I thought a lot about who was I before I got married, before I met my husband. What were the
Ah,
things I wanted?
yeah.
And I kind of, it's interesting. I've rediscovered a lot of the things I love. So, for example, I love rock music. Like, I love going to concerts. I love music, live music. And my husband didn't love that so much. So, over the years, that kind of went away. And then I became a mom, and I was like, well, that's not appropriate for mom things, which that's a whole other conversation we could have another time, right? Um,
For
and
sure.
so now I've been like, hey, I used to love doing this. And then I stopped
Yeah.
doing it because I got married and things change. And wow. So now I'm starting. I went to a concert with my 16-year-old daughter a couple months ago. So
Oh, that's
now
great.
she loves music. And I'm like, wow, we're like mom and daughter concert goers. This is
Oh, I
great.
love that.
So I'm rediscovering who I was before and allowing that person to come back. And I'm like welcoming her back. It's like an old friend, like that I haven't
Mm,
seen in a long time. And in some ways, I feel younger than ever. Um,
Mm.
in some ways, I wonder if some of the things I do are appropriate for a 52-year-old woman, but I do them anyway because, hey, life is short, right? Just as long as you're being kind and respectful and loving to everybody,
That's
go have
right.
fun.
That's
Go
right.
have fun, right?
That's
Stop
right. No
worrying
age
about what
limits
everybody
on
thinks.
fun.
Yeah. So it's more about welcoming, thinking about who I was, what I love now. I mean, there are things that I love now that I didn't even do before. I'm a runner now. I was never a runner before. So it's about allowing yourself to discover what you
mm,
love. And that does entail trying new things,
Yeah.
saying yes. When the girls say, hey, do you want to go camping this weekend? Or do you want to go doing something different that you say, geez, I would never do that. But why not
mm,
try it? What's the worst that can happen? You don't like it and you don't do it again, right?
Yeah. And not limiting yourself to the idea that, well, I'm not a camper or I'm not a runner or
mm.
I'm not
Mm-hmm.
like just because you weren't doesn't mean you can't be. And so I hear kind of like taking some breaks off, reducing the limitations or the mental limitations that we might have put on
Right.
ourselves. And this kind of going back to the beginning, going back to the roots, like the essence of
Mm,
you and all the things we liked when we were teenagers. Yeah, maybe we don't, want to bring them all back, but there an essence of what we were initially drawn to in the early years of our life before we had these impressions of, who we should be or what we were supposed to be doing. Um,
mm,
that I like that idea of having people kind of go back and visit those times and say, is there any of that that's still interesting to me that I
mm.
want to rekindle,
Yeah.
right? And by the way, one does not have to go through a major life transition or a divorce to do that, right?
Correct.
Mm,
Why not do that anyway? Um,
mm.
to bring those things back, to kind of visit something that might have been lost that you missed, that you didn't even realize had sort of, gone under the carpet and got dust all settled on it.
It's I love that. I think the resilience is something that I think we nurture, not over time, like every day. I think resilience is I feel like it's a bit of we have a reservoir of it. So every good experience that we have builds our resilience. So
Yes.
Thinking about what is it, what brings us joy, and thinking about these things that lift us up, that all contributes to our ability to cope with whatever comes next. And I think that is as you, Terry, say, like, we don't have to do that. Actually, we should not wait for something major to happen for us to turn into that. I think the resilience practice, one aspect of resilience practice is really to do that continuously, so that we feel well resourced. And it's beautiful. I love that. I'm going to have a little think of.
I like that. Yeah. And if I can just say it, you're just bringing it right around to self-care. And we need to take the time every day to do something that we love, to do the things that lift us up, because we do get depleted. And if we're going to have that resilience so we can move forward, we can have our mood lifted and be in good spirits, we do need to take that time for self-care and to do things that feed our soul and make us feel good and make us feel healthy physically and emotionally, right? And taking care of yourself has to come first, because you can't take care of anyone else if you don't take care of yourself.
100%. Just out of curiosity, would you say that you are a better self-carer, carer of self now, or were you a better self-carer before? I might have invented that now.
Oh, now I'm a self-care superstar. I come first.
Fabulous. Okay.
I come first because I don't want to give people what's left of me. I want to give them the best of me.
Of course, yeah. And and I think it reminds me, as you were talking about, resilience is something that we do every day. The self-care that we do each day is kind of stockpiling our ability to hold ourselves in times of trouble. And I also think that the times of trouble that we go through and navigate also build our resilience. Right? They also, I think some of the resilience I have today is born out of the struggles that I was going through before. And so, it's not a failure to go through these tough times in life. It's how you go through them. And if you can go through them, as Nancy's describing, by taking the time to learn the lessons from them, to gather what it is you're supposed to gather, to leave behind what no longer serves, and to decide what it is I'm carrying forward with me, so that you're not just carrying forward with you all of those unpacked stories that might not serve you in the future. So I think we're building our resilience on our ability to get through past tough times, and we're also building our resilience through our daily practices of being our own self-carer, which is our new coin term, #selfcarers.
Fabulous. Well, I have 101 other questions to ask you, but I would say that I love your energy around this. I love what you're bringing to the space of to this kind of tricky time and this process of finding ourselves. I think that's our life work. So I really love and appreciate that. But what I'm taking away, if I can pick two, we normally pick one, but I'm going to pick two.
Okay.
It's what I've loved is when you say yes to help. I love that, and the fact that it takes village you can't have enough of positive people. So say yes, you can't have enough of positive people. And the modeling, the when we seek the examples where it worked the way you would like to have it work for you. I think that's also powerful, because sometimes we can go into a tunnel that of darkness, and then attract and seek people who also kind of calibrate that picture. But finding your picture and you kind of gravitating to that, I can see how powerful that can be. So I'm taking those things. What about you, Terry?
Yeah. I think you took a lot of the takeaways and named them all, Sanella, but I'm gonna the ones that are resonating with me are really the going back and remembering who you were when you were really young. I love that, Nancy. And because I loved her. I loved, that young version of me, right? And she was all sorts of things, moody and wild per descriptions of other people, but she was fun. She did a lot, and she said yes to a lot. And so that's the second thing I'm taking is you're, saying yes, not just to the help and to the self-care, but saying yes to the fun. Which is, I think, a beautiful way to walk through the door, is to find new things to say yes to. So I'm really grateful that we had this conversation, and it was a reminder for me to do just that.
Yay. Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been great. I really enjoy your energy, and life is a grand experiment. So don't take it too seriously.
We won't.
Love that.
We won't. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for kicking off our February month of resilience. We're going to be talking about resilience and unpacking more of the different components of resilience strategies next Tuesday night, again, for our community on our other IGTV Live. On February 15th, we have our connection sessions, which are very much like Nancy's Compass group. I love that. So if you're in our neck of the woods, in our time zone here in the EU, you can join our connection session on February 15th on resilience, and we'll be helping people do some resilience building for themselves. And if you're in Nancy's neck of the woods, the Eastern time zone, then go ahead and reach out to her for either one-on-one support or coaching, or for her Compass groups. And so with that, we leave you for the evening, Nancy, and we thank you very, very much for being with us.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's been great to be here.
You're welcome. And we'll leave your details in comments as well, so people can find you.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
You so
Mama
much.
of Reinvention. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great night.
Thanks a lot, ladies.
Thank you.
Have a good day.